Also going to show you how to make an animation just by drawing right in Photoshop instead of drawing on a piece of paper and then scanning it or photographing it. You can also just do frame by frame animation right straight in Photoshop. So what you want to do is again open up our Photoshop file here, and then we're going to want to make sure that we have our timeline visible. So make sure that that is checked so that you get this little timeline down here. And then what we need to do is we need to go up to File, and you want to go to New, and we want to pick a film and video preset here. So that's up to you, however big or small you want it to be. It can be 720p, it could be 1180, whatever you want to do. But you want to pick that one, and then there are all these presets in here that you guys can play around with. But we'll just do the HD one for now, and we'll just make sure the background is white and just click OK. And it'll basically give us this image, and you can see these lines here that are on the outside, these little guys. These show you the action and title safe areas of the screen, which you really don't need to worry about for our particular project. But so once we get this set, we can always go in and save it. So you should probably save as and pick a spot to keep it so that it's something you don't lose. So I always like to save stuff early so that I don't forget about it. And then you can see down here in the timeline we don't have anything going on. We have a background layer. So what we want to do is we want to create a layer. So we want to go up here to Layer, Video Layers, and we want to go to New Blank Video Layer. So I want to make sure you select that one. That's just going to give us a blank layer here that runs the duration of our animation. Then we want to check it. So we want to go in here and go to, let's see, Set Timeline Frame Rate. And we want to change this from 29 frames a second to 12, again, just to make it easier so you don't have to do so many drawings. You could do 30 drawings a second, and it would be really smooth if you did it well, but usually people can't tell the difference between like 12 and 30 and 24. Like, it's just kind of, for most animations, it just doesn't matter much. So we're going to click OK on that. And so now I have this nice little timeline. It's a five minute timeline right now, but we won't probably use all of that unless you're really going to go crazy. And so now if you want to, you can just go ahead and draw right into that. If you have a tablet right there, you can just draw right on it. You can draw with the mouse. So it's really up to you. But so the idea is you would grab a brush and then select a brush that kind of does something that you find interesting. I'll just grab like one of these and shrink it a little bit. And so again, you want to select your color that you're going to work in. And then let's just say we're going to make like a squiggle move across the screen here. So here I am. If you look at my timeline, I'm right here on my first 000, and I can zoom in and out on the timeline again by moving the slider around. So the very first thing, I'm just going to pick where I want my squiggle to be. So maybe I'll just do something like this, like just, right? And then if you hit this button right here, it'll take you to the next frame, and you'll notice that that frame just disappeared. So if you want, you can kind of guess where your movement's going to take place, like this, and then just kind of toggle back and forth and see how they look. But that can get kind of confusing, and it's hard to tell what's going on. So they have this thing called onion skinning, which is something that you can turn on and off that really helps with this kind of animation. So if you click here again on our menu, and you go to, you see all the options you have available to you. If you click on the onion skin settings, you'll see that the onion skin settings give you how many frames you want to see before and how many frames you want to see after, and all these things. So I would keep it at 1 and 1 and just click OK on that. And now you'll see, oh, this shows me the frame I just drew and the one in front of it. So now if I move from that frame to this one and then into the next one, it shows me where my old frame was, so I can kind of just trace this along, right? And then the arrows will take you to the next frame as well. And it's just a really nice way to kind of see, okay, that's what the last frame was, and now I'm changing it a little bit. So you can kind of try and figure out how many or what kind of an animation you want to make out of this. I'm going to make this get a little longer with each one. I know, this is a masterpiece of animation. You're welcome that you got to watch this little beautiful thing take place here, but it is kind of a nice way to just kind of get the hang of what's going on. So the onion skin thing is actually pretty important. So I'm just going to make it look like this. Kind of is just bouncing up here, right? So all right, so if we go back in time now, you can see, oh, there's our animation. It's kind of moving. So if you push the space bar or the play bar, you'll see that it moves across the screen, right? So you can see how this could get as detailed as you wanted it to. We can, you know, if I wanted to bounce it back now, just keep going, and then I, you know, can make it look like it got all mushed up here like this, and then it starts to kind of like bounce it back a little bit. So now, let's see what happens. So if we push the space bar, it's starting to go back. So that is the basics of how you would make an animation like this in just by drawing it hand by hand. So again, a lot of people like to do it right in Photoshop and in here, and if you just push save, it'll save your the whole file with the timeline and everything. And obviously you can get as detailed with this as you want to, but it's kind of a nice way to make a fast little animation. And if I was only going to make a 2-second animation, all I would have to do is just go right to there, and that tells me where 2 seconds is. So just have a few more frames to add. So again, but the idea is you would want to make a looping animation. You could do it this way, and then when we're done, we just go to we just go down here and we go to render video, decide where you want to put it, click render, and it'll take a second for it to render depending on how detailed it is. And then if I watch this video, this is the QuickTime version. Here's my little, masterpiece. So very exciting, all right? So what the idea is, you just want it to loop from one spot to the next. And once you get that done, then you're ready to import this stuff into After Effects.